Are you willing to be the dumbest kid in your class? Are you willing to be the weakest player on your team? These can sound like ridiculous questions, right? Except that leaders are learners. And learners want to surround themselves with people that are smarter than them, faster than them, better than them. Last week, I was talking to one of the students that I mentor one-on-one every month, and he was invited to this big conference at an Ivy League school, and he felt resistant toward going to this conference, even though to me, it seemed like an obvious opportunity for growth. And as we kept talking, I discovered that one of the reasons he felt resistant to going to this conference was because he was an underclassman and there were going to be mostly upperclassmen there. And he was put on a special committee that is set apart from all of the other committees. And that particular committee would be more demanding of him. And he revealed that he was afraid of potentially embarrassing himself by saying something or doing something or not knowing something that he should know. And so he was afraid that he was walking into a vulnerable situation where he could look like the dumbest person in the room. How would you handle that situation? Would you go to this conference? It was a privileged opportunity and he felt inadequate to go to this conference. But I told him, if you were inadequate, they would not have invited you there. And if you were inadequate, you would not have been invited not only to go to this conference, but to serve on the one committee that is set apart and is different and is more demanding than all of the other roles at this conference. But then I said, so what? So what if you really are inadequate? So what if you do say something dumb? So what if you don't know something that you think you should have known? Are you willing to be the quote unquote dumbest person there if you are guaranteed to learn from the people around you and to grow from the experience? It's challenging, right? To not be the smartest kid in the class, to not be the first place winner in the competition. It's hard not to be the MVP of the team. We all want that because we've been told and taught that that's the goal. We should want to always be the best. We should want to win. And although there's nothing wrong with being the best and there's nothing wrong with being first place and wanting to win all the time, there is something wrong if you want to be a leader. Leaders need to be willing to put themselves in situations where they are teachable and humble and hungry to learn. Leaders are learners, and the best way to learn is to surround yourself on purpose with people who are smarter than you, faster than you, more experienced than you, more knowledgeable than you, more experienced than you, so that you can learn from them. They can push you past your limits and into new, uncharted territory of knowledge, of experience, of skills. That's how you get better. Chances are you're in at least one room where you are not the smartest, the best, the fastest, the most experienced person there. And instead of seeing those rooms and those groups as a place where you're less than the others or you are losing, I want to challenge you as emerging, developing leaders to see those rooms as the very places where you are winning. Meaning you are learning, you are growing, you are being challenged, stretched, pushed, pulled. Those are good places to be. When I was growing up, I went to church every week, and one of the adults at church actually nominated me while I was in high school to serve on the church board. And at the time, I didn't know what a church board was and what they do and why it would be appropriate for me to be on that team, in that group. But because the uncle, I called him, saw potential in me to somehow add value to our church by being on this board, I said yes. And isn't that what you do when you are presented with an opportunity that your gut says is good for you, even though your head might say this is out of your league and you're inadequate and you don't belong there? You say yes. I found myself in board meetings late at night with a room full of adult, mature men and women, the leaders of my church. And all I did that whole season was listen, observe, figure out what they are talking about and why it matters. I didn't say a thing that entire season that I served on my church board. But you know what? It wasn't a waste of my time, because the Lord knew that decades later, I would be on the staff of a church and I would be in these types of meetings. And because of that high school experience, it was not foreign to me. I was somewhat familiar with these kinds of meetings and the kinds of decisions that are being discussed. And I was grateful that I've been in these kinds of meetings before, and now I can actually participate. Any opportunity that makes you feel dumb, inadequate, inexperienced, unknowledgeable is good for you. Why? Because when you are in those vulnerable positions, it's an opportunity to be humble and to be humbled by the people around you who are ahead of you. Humility is a prerequisite for any kind of leadership, but it is a requirement for Christian leadership. In Philippians 2, 3, and 4, the Apostle Paul says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others." You are an emerging Christian leader, and humility is how God is preparing you to serve others so that you can consider their needs before yours. The more willing you are to step into situations where you are teachable, where you can learn and grow from other people, the more prepared you will be to serve the people that God puts in your life to serve. In closing, the thing that will challenge your humility is pride. And this was an idea that I discussed with the students in my leadership mastermind classes that are going through this book this school year called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn by John Maxwell. Pride is what we need to be cautious of as leaders. Pride is the thing that will stand in the way of our own teachability and our own growth. So in closing, I want to remind you to ask God to give you the humility of Jesus Christ so that you can serve others the way Christ has served you. I hope this has been helpful. Please leave a comment and let me know what you took away. Please share this video with other friends who are interested in Christian leadership development. And I will see you in the next video, which will be all about chapter 3 of this book, which is reality, the foundation of learning. I'll see you there.